Today we are going to do a spot that I have never done before. It is going to be a ICM spot. It is going to be a 20 big blind spot. The big blind versus the button. Hopefully I can do all right. ICM, I believe, is a part of the game that nearly every player needs to work on. But I know personally that I am pretty weak when it comes to ICM, and that's just not really good enough, because obviously a lot of the money that you make playing poker tournaments is on the final tables. All the money you make is there, but it's where you can make the biggest mistakes, the most costly mistakes. So hopefully studying this spot today will help us to not punt off as many final tables as I have been recently, and hopefully to anyone at home, you will be able to learn along with me. I am going to, of course, try and explain why things are done the way they are. Of course, I won't always know, but I'll give it my best. So we're going to go choose your spot. We're going to pick ICM, and we're going to play this, the button versus the big blind. We're going to play. As you can see, my ICM spots have not probably been played as much as they should. So let's have a little look at the stacks. Before we dive into this, let's have a little look at what situation we're dealing with. So we are button versus big blind. We are going to be playing both positions. I think, as you can see, the button is 50 big blinds. The big blind is 20 big blinds. And the shortest stack is 20 big blinds. There's one other 50 big blind stack, so the button doesn't have it all their own way. The low jack also has 50 big blinds. The payouts are 440 for 6th, 590 for 5th, 790 for 4th, 1060 for 3rd, 1430 for 2nd, and 1920. So this is a typical payout that you might see in, say, the big 44 or something. It would be pretty reasonable. This would be quite similar to that. The next thing we want to do kind of before we dive into it too much is we want to check what ranges both players are going to have. So the button's going to get to open reasonably wide. The reason that they won't have some of these hands is because with the 220 big blind stacks, I assume they are, yeah, 220 big blind stacks. There's going to be some shoving, right? We're not going to open up everything here because some hands, we just put a lot of ICM pressure on these players, given that there's so many stacks similar size to them. So there's going to be some shoving of those hands. But as you can see, we have the ace-x suited down as far as ace-6. We have pretty much all of the ace-5, or excuse me, ace-x offsuit. Ace-5 will, I guess, shove sometimes. These suited broadways we are stripped of, which is quite interesting. Not in terms of that it's not, you know, it's pretty obvious that some of these hands are going to be used as shoves pre, but it's just the fact that we won't have as much coverage on some boards and as many flushes potentially. And then we see what they are defending, and you can see they are, for 20 big blinds, they're not doing a lot of defending with pairs. Sixes are in here, which will just be for board coverage so that we can flop some sets. Suited hands, we tend to want to call the ace-x here. We don't want to shove them all. Down as far as, I would have actually, to be honest, in this stack setup, I probably would have shoved ace-9 and ace-8, so that straight away could potentially be an error that I'm making. As you can see, obviously ace-10 and ace-jack is going in. It is nice to, of course, flat some hands like ace-10 suited and ace-9 suited, because we're going to dominate a bunch of the hands that they open. We're going to dominate a lot of the ace-x. We're going to get to stack them on some ace-high boards. But as you can see, like, we got to make some tight folds. A lot of these offsuit hands are just going in the bin. You know, we're not defending any of this stuff. We're going to struggle on some of the lower boards potentially. We do have this stuff still suited. If we were to introduce a stack of like a 5 big blinds on this table, it would rip some of these hands out. We won't be able to defend most likely. But anyway, it's a min raise. We defend. So now, I'm going to be honest. If this was not ICM, I would be using a chunkier bet on this board because they get stripped of a lot of ace-x in non-ICM situations. But here you can see they actually still have a lot, right? So given the ICM, I'm gonna guess. So we still have the nutted ace-x that they don't have, right? We still have all these. We still have all this. So we might be able to drive more chips into the middle and start putting pressure and taking advantage of the fact that we have those hands. But what I've learned when I have done ICM spots is there's a lot more smaller betting, so I'm going to go with the smaller bet. And again, this is something that's quite alien to me, but I a lot of the time would want to use this size, right? I would want to bet 64%. When they check call the flop, and the fact that they flat a pre-flop, they're starting to get really, really low on ace-x. And we know they don't have a huge amount of coverage in this region in terms of making straights and too many two pairs down here. So I would want to bet this, but in saying all that, in ICM, they tend to use, okay, so I've got it wrong. It's my first time doing it in ICM in a while. It does prefer this size. So this was my gut was go with this size. I was just trying to guess how the bot would go. So that's good to know. So it does translate over pretty similarly. And interesting to see that they call King 8 with the ace of diamonds. We did only bet 20%. Sorry, with the king of diamonds. But all right, first hand wrong, not great. Let's move it along a little bit. Again, this board, I think we can just bet small. Are we gonna go back to back trying to make them fold with the small size and get 2 errors straight off the bat? Oh crap. All right. What I thought I knew from the last ICM spot, clearly not. That's a 0 out of 2. That's not a good start for Finty. That's not a good start at all. Okay. All right. It can't get worse. We're in the big blinds. We are going to check. There's going to be a small bet with a bottom pair and the backdoor flush draw. No chance are we going to be able to fold just yet. I would guess that there's a chunk of leading on this turn. That might not be true. How many sixes do I have? We don't have any of these sixes. We still have a decent amount, but I actually, against a chip leader, I don't actually like it that much. And now my hand has been counterfeited. But I don't think I'm going to bluff 10 high. Am I about to get 3 hands wrong in a row? All right, we're in. We got one right. Yeah, it doesn't hate leading, but it would have been a mistake. But it doesn't really hate it. There is some leading, as you can see, but not with our hand. All right, so let's get a little streak going. My best streak, my current streak is 1. My best streak ever is 19. If I would be very surprised if I beat that streak in the ICM section, but we'll see. All right, this is an easy one. Check fold. Let's go. Let's move on. Streak of 2. Boom. We are class. We are massive. All right. We're going to bet small. Not going to bet this turn. I wouldn't hate using 8s as a bluff sometimes, but I don't think I want to use it on a 9. And now the question is whether we bluff. Whether we bluff or not, chat. We put them under a lot of pressure if they have a hand like Jack 10, King Jack, Queen 10. But to do that, we have to bet on the larger side. I think I'm going to check, chat. I think I'm going to throw in the towel. I would bluff this in game. So is this a mistake? Am I just not going with my instincts again? Do I need to just listen to what's inside a little bit more rather than trying to play like the bot? Okay, it checks. It likes to check. What does it think about bluffing? It doesn't hate it. Like, you see the orange? It doesn't hate it. It's not losing a lot, but it doesn't. I would have bet either 100% or all in for what it's worth. I don't think we want to be betting small because we don't really achieve a lot. Like, if we bet this, it still makes them a little bit in a tough spot with a jack, but I want to start putting them under pressure with their queens, and they don't have a huge amount of aces. So, all right, we're on a streak of 3. Things are getting better. Things are looking up. Do we just exert some pressure here, or do we want to check? I'm gonna bet. Are we going to punt it off? No, we're not. We're not going to punt it off just yet. We're just going to fold. We're on a streak of 4. Did it like betting the turn or the river? Sorry, excuse me. Yeah. It likes betting the 30% on the turn a decent amount. I can get behind that. I can get behind that for sure. It seems fine. All right, but we're on a little streak. We're saving some face here after a rocky start. If their stacks were reversed here, I think there would probably be a chunk of lead in on this board. But they're not, so we're check folding. And we're on a streak of 5. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to beat my 19th streak right here, right now, in the ICM streets. We got off to a rocky start, but it's okay. A board that in general, there's a lot of big betting. 9-7 deuce. A lot of big betting. But again, look at their range. They lose all of this stuff in the offsuit area. They don't even have all of the 9s. So I think we're just going to bet small and put pressure. We're going to fold. I'd be somewhat tempted if I had the backdoor flush draw, but we're going to fold. What did they shove? They shoved Jack 10. Yeah, it's close on the flop. Mix it up. Obviously, I think checking's going to be fine. But we get blasted off our hand, but we're on a streak of 6. Ladies and gentlemen, can we do 19? Can we get 19 in a row in this 20 big blind ICM spot? So I'd probably be a little bit more inclined to check like ace 8, ace 10. Ace 5 we're going to bet because we could potentially make them fold some ace highs. I just want to check here if my logic is right. So when we're checking, yeah, so like ace 8. Yeah, ace 8 is like the middling hand. The reason we don't want to bet this one as much is because we're not making any better hands really fold. Well, with ace 5 we might make like ace 8 fold because it's, you know, in a tricky enough spot. It's probably not going to fold for 20%, but it's, you know, it's starting to put it in a tricky spot. There is a little bit of 50% betting here on the 9-7x. It's the usual suspects. Like even in the ICM situations, these boards with the vulnerable hands, it's going to be 10s, jacks, ace 9. This is a pattern that you're just going to see all the time on these boards where there's straight draws and you have vulnerable overpairs and vulnerable top pairs that want to start getting all the chips in now. You just start driving it in. Ace 4 tray. I think this is just going to be a small bet board. Yeah, I don't think there's too much to say. And once we get raised, we're going to fold. I actually would be interested in seeing what DTO wants to raise. Is the raise? Yeah, no, it's on raise 5, right? Yeah. So a little bit of the ace 9, ace 10. A little bit of the queen 6 with the backdoor flush draws. That's a little gangster for a final table. I like it, but I don't know if I'd find it. And then we have the flop straight and the bottom 2 pair, which is, look, most of the time that these hands are only being used because something needs to offset these hands. And a lot of the time you'll see them using the backdoor straight draws or like the duplication of the cards, which is with the 5. 6 obviously doesn't exactly apply here, but the majority of our raises are just coming from this value. So I think is that an 8 streak right now? I'm just saying we might actually get our 19th streak. So this is going to be tough. Yeah, because 20% is real small. I wouldn't fold this if there was a gun to my head and it wasn't a final table. But final tables are tough. Final tables are real tough. I have a backdoor flush draw. I have 2 overcards to second pair. Is this really going to be the hand that ruins my streak if I make an incredibly nitty fold? Pre-final table, this is never a fold. Final table, I'm going to fold. They even had ace jack. It was a great fold. All right. That's an over adjustment of trying to be too tight. So yeah, we're just not folding when we have the diamond. Without the diamond, we can pass. Look, that's how I would play the hand pre-final table. Absolutely, no doubt about it. I wouldn't fold king queen at all, just because, you know, it's the nuts. But I thought maybe on a final table with the jack of diamonds, it would be close. You can see there is a difference. If you have the queen of diamonds, it's a much more over defend. But at the end of the day, they're both still calls. So we messed up. We've ruined our streak. The dreams are on hold. They're not dead. We will try again once more. So what did we say about that other board? 10, 7, 4. Look at all the straight draws. 9, 8, Jack 8, 8, 6 suited, 5, 3 suited, 5, 6 suited. So this is going to be a board where we will get to use the slightly larger sizing with jacks, and it will be the usual suspects. It will be the jacks, the queens, the ace 10. It's just a similar pattern all the time. Now, you can obviously use a smaller bet here, but if you want to simplify it and you don't want to, you know, I shouldn't be saying that because obviously this app's all about showing exactly where you should mix it up. But I sometimes I simplify strategies for myself and just use one size in a situation rather than trying to remember them all. So, what did we learn? We do not fold. Do we ever raise this hand? I think personally it would probably be a little bit of a disaster to raise fold it, and raise call in it just does not seem like an option. This could be a thing, but I'm going to go with the safe bet. And we're going to start with a call. And now against a larger bet, we're going to fold. Let me see the flop. Is that the, yeah, it likes it. See, the all in is a thing 56% of the time. Felt like it could be a thing. Just this exact combo. So, in fairness, it's just this one with the ace of diamonds and the eight of spades. So, you know, I don't feel bad that we just called there. And then we folded. We're on 2 streak. We're on 2 streak. Ace 7-5 is usually a board where we can introduce some larger sizings versus the big blind, particularly when we open on the button because they get stripped of so many ace-x. And of course, there's a lot of middling hands that they will flat, which have a lot of interaction, which we want to get value from. Now, in saying that, we're on final table, and my hand's not worth a lot. This is a board, if this wasn't ICM, again, I would always bet the 50% size. But I think on the final table, we might get away with the smaller size. Yeah. So this is just an adjustment that, like, if you look at the exact same sim in DTO, 20 big blinds, big blind versus button, I'm pretty sure this size on ace 7-5 flush draw, you will see a 60, 50% size, even maybe 70%, depending on what sizes the computer spits out. You will see that used close to range on that particular board. But on the ICM situation, it's going to be just the smaller bets put on enough pressure as it is. So could play for stacks. How could we not? We have the nut flush draw, but on ace king tray, I don't know how much. No, I don't think we should lead. Anybody for an attempted check raise all in on the final table? So I wonder if this is a spot where it's 20% they're all in, because if we bet like 100%, they're not really going to raise without the nuts. If we bet 50%, it's even starting to get dicey. If we bet like 20%, they should probably still raise, you know, the 10 of spades or something. So I'm kind of tempted to check shove. Yeah, I think we're gonna check shove. Damn it! This is just, it does like these sizes. Okay, I would have got this one wrong. This is just me. It doesn't like the 20% at all. Let me see. I want to retry this one fixed, and I want to see how the computer reacts versus our sizing. So check, call, check. We bet 50%. Computer goes all in. We call. So it's still, see, okay, all right, okay. Well, there's like, I didn't think against 50% that the computer would still shove. I did not think that the computer would still shove with these hands. I thought it would pretty much just call against 50%, but as you can see here, it's shoving. It's shoving some 10 of spades. All right, so I got it wrong because I misunderstood how the computer would play back. And that was my logic for thinking that we should either bet small to make sure that these hands have to raise or check so that we can check shove versus them. If they're going to shove versus 50%, then of course I think that size is going to be good, but I wasn't sure if it would. So anyway, we're not on a streak. We have ruined it again. I'm going to go ahead and bet. I'm going to check. We don't need to turn a deuce into a bluff. We win against some ace highs. We win against some flush draws. I don't think there's a lot of merit to bluffing. And on this river, I think I am going to fold. We still get bluffed by some stuff like queen jack with a spade, queen 10 with a spade, some ace x. But I still think, given the fact that they probably don't check raise call so many kings, they just probably have too much for me to call here. Yeah, king 10. It's a mix on the river. I just want to see like if we have what our offsuit deuces we're going to have. It's not going to be. We're not going to have a lot to choose from. We probably don't have any, right? No. I'm just trying to think if could we have a spade here, but I guess we just don't really with a deuce. So it's a bit of a problem. Okay. River's close. It did feel close. But we decided to fold. And this board, again, one of those boards where we want to use some larger bets. If I had nines here or ace 9 or king 9, I would use large bet. But I think with 8-10 on an FT, it's going to be fine to bet small. Instinct says this. Final table feels like this. But I'm going to go. We've gone against our instinct a few times. And my hand is not good enough to empty without a diamond, I don't think. They're going to have a reasonable amount of flushes here. And I just don't think that they can call with a worse hand. So I think we should check. They have queen 6. Is the turn close? It prefers this size. All right. Finty goes with his instinct. He gets the right result. Easy. Easy. Ace 10. We're going to check raise. I think we should keep betting. I believe we should keep betting. It's a mix, which, you know, I think is fine, but as you can see here, it's going to be the ace 10, ace 9, because when we looked at our own range at the beginning, but if you forget, as you can see here, these are the top of our ace x range. So we don't have an ace jack, we don't have an ace queen. You know, we don't have these hands to check raise. So this is literally the best ace that we are going to have. So it feels, you know, I would probably raise it more than I should. I probably would have raised it more than 55%. I'd probably be more like 80% or something. And unless we're against someone really aggressive. If you're against someone who's out of line, just call and watch them blast off and be like, this guy never has an ace. I'm going to bet, but I won't be surprised if this one's a mix to a check. And I don't want to turn mine into a bluff. We're still ahead of all the jack 10s, the queen 10s, the queen jacks, the ace highs. So we're just going to try showdown. And I don't believe that we can value bet here. That seems incredibly thin. Yeah, so it is a mix on the flop. Sorry, which is what I kind of felt, but on the king 9-5, I just like betting a lot of the time. Just simplifies it for me. This one, I believe that queen 10 will be good enough. I think it'll be close. Honestly, you might be able to check this sometimes, but we are going to use the slightly larger sizing due to the sheer number of draws. And this turn is tricky. I don't particularly want to use the 25% size, and I don't particularly want to use this size. Our opponent will have hands like Jack 8, Jack 9. Maybe this is powerful. This is not something I do, but maybe this is powerful. I am going to check. Finty. 210. It likes the 25% on the turn. Obviously the flush gets there. I just felt that they would do a lot of betting themselves with a jack when I went check on the turn, and they're unlikely to have a better 10 on the flop because they're going to probably check raise getting king 10 and ace 10 when they have it, which, you know, they don't even have all the time. All right, we got it wrong. Let's play a couple of more and let's see if we can get a little streak. Right, I'll tell you what, we'll go until we get one wrong again, unless it's this one. I'm gonna call, but scary, man. Final tables are scary because I always feel like I'm messing up no matter which way I go. I'm gonna bet 25%. Sorry, 20%. Is that okay? Is that too thin? Possibly. All right, let's see which step did I not like so much. So it actually, so you can fold a flop. You can see it's a 73% fold, which, you know, is crazy to fold king jack to 20% on that board, but ICM is tough, just is. And on this board, we're going to start with a small bet, and we're going to fold, and we are going to turbo. Does it want to call? Wow. I am a nit. I would never call this on the final table. Ever. Like, ever. We haven't seen too many of these boards. We're going to bet this size. We don't actually have as much coverage on this board as we usually would because we shove a large chunk of these hands, as you can see here. So we don't have as much as we normally would. We'll just start with a small bet. It still does like it creeping in, and it does like some checking, but overall the small bet seems fine. 50% of the strategy. I think this is going to be a mandatory check. Ugh, this is ugly. If I had a 9 plus a diamond, I would never fold. If I had a 9 plus a straight draw, I'd probably never fold. But this is very ugly. I'm going to call one, but it would not shock me if we should fold here. Okay, so it's never a fold. It actually likes leading the turn on jack 10-9, which I'm not a fan of personally. Quite interesting. And we're going to start betting. And we are going to bet again. All right, that was hand number 25 that we got done, and apparently it was wrong. Does it like the small bet so we can just keep betting our kings and stuff? No, just pure check. All right, well, I would bang this one off every single time with the spade, with the 6. I just can't help myself on this run out. We obviously have bet more ace-x. We have the spade to potentially bluff the river. We have the 6. I would have banged this off every time. So this is a situation where we just would have been getting in a little bit too much trouble. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I learned a few things of both being too tight and probably too aggressive. This video will be going up on the DTO YouTube. I will be playing it on easywithaces.tv during my breaks during the week. If you would like to ask me any questions, feel free to throw a question in the comments. I will try my best. I did, of course, try to explain why it's doing different things in different spots, but sometimes I don't know. I do try my best, and I need to begin doing a lot more sims in the ICM street because that is where all the money is going to be made. Thank you very much for watching, and I will be back next Friday with another video.